Good evening, everyone. We'll go ahead and call this meeting, November 6, 2018 meeting of the El Centro City Council to order. Thank you all for being here. At this time, we'll have roll call by our city clerk.
Councilmember Silva.
Present.
Councilmember Cardenas.
Present.
Councilmember Jackson.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Garcia.
Present.
And Mayor Villegas Walker.
Here. At this time, if you could all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led by our Fire Chief, Ken Herbert, to be followed by an invocation from our Police Chief, Chief Brian Johnson.
Join me in saluting the flag of our great nation. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. As we come together, Heavenly Father, as you know, in our great nation, today is a special day. We are holding many elections across our great nation, and we would ask that the people that have come out to vote, that their voice is heard, and as the results come in across our great country, we understand that the people have spoken about who their elected officials are, and for the rest of the world to see that how we can do elections for our elected across this nation and keep a reminder of what a great nation we are. As we sit in our chambers, bless our city council, city staff, and all our residents in the way in our great city. All of this in your name.
Amen.
Well done.
Thank you, Chief.
All right, Mayor. Let's make this happen tonight, Mayor.
All right, let's go.
7:15.
Okay. The El Centro City Council, we did meet in closed session today from 11:30 till approximately 1:30 p.m. This time, I'll ask our city attorney to report out on closed session.
There's no reportable action, Madam Mayor. However, there are two items to add to the agenda tonight for approval, for consideration and approval.
And those two items are,
Two items are the MOU with the firefighters unit and the MOU with the police department sergeants unit. The city clerk indicates they would be added after item 25. Yes?
okay. Ms. Caldwell, can we have the motion to add now, or would you like us to wait?
We can motion to add now if you prefer.
Okay, if I could have a motion to add the two items just described, the MOU with police sergeants and fire.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Cardenas, second by Jackson.
Can we vote
Oh,
electronic?
yes, we can. And that item passes, that motion to add passes 5-0. The presentation and announcements by the mayor, I will reserve on that. Let's move forward with item number 1. This is always a fantastic day for us. El Centro Police Department badge promotion and introduction of new ECPD employee presentation. Chief Johnson.
So good evening, Madam Mayor, council members, city manager, other residents and staff here, and certainly all of our residents watching this evening. Today is a very historic day for the El Centro Police Department. It is a great day for the El Centro Police Department and really for our city. We are going to, well, as you know, we swore in Michelle Vasquez, our newest police officer with the El Centro Police Department. And I'm going to also announce several promotions that we also did today. You know, as the chief of police, these are the days and, you know, the opportunity where we get to reward hard work. We get to recognize the sacrifice that individuals take to become police officers in our great city. And Michelle, I can tell you, I met her casually, probably, I'm guessing now, maybe 3 months ago or so. When I became the chief, one of the things I did was go out to the IVC, right, and to look to our level 1 class. And like many chiefs, we were out there recruiting. We were trying to demonstrate who is the best police department in the valley. And I'm proud that we were able to hire now our second IBC graduate from our first level 1 academy class. Michelle, you know, she's an El Centro native. She's one of our own. She grew up in El Centro. Her parents are here. Alberto and Guadalupe Vasquez are sitting right behind us. Her sister Alejandra is here. She went to Central High School where she graduated in 2010. Because of her passion for law enforcement, as I was looking through her bio and reading a little bit about her, one of the things that struck out is that she actually moved to Arizona, was a correctional officer in the state of Arizona for a while, actually came back to the Valley because she wanted to put herself through the police academy while working for the sheriff's department. So we stole her not only from other agencies in the region, but from the sheriff's department. And that's what we have talked about, right, is for the El Centro Police Department to be successful, for the city to be successful, and for us really to build on the public safety within our great city, we are going to have to recruit and mentor those that live in the valley, those that have grown up in the valley. And so I'm very honored and very pleased to recognize Michelle for all her accomplishments. I guess I should mention it. She'll probably hit me if I don't. But she actually came out number 1 in the class. She was number 1. And I'll end on one small story. And so after the graduation, I was honored and blessed to be able to say a few words to the graduating class. And when I realized that she was number 1, we made a point, command staff and several of us, to kind of really corner her and get her to commit to apply to the El Centro Police Department. And obviously she did that. She was successful in getting through that rigorous process. And so we are so proud, and we have all the confidence that she's going to be an incredible police officer for the El Centro Police Department. So with that, I'd like to acknowledge Michelle for all her hard work.
Officer Vasquez?
So what I would like to do in interest of time, I know you have a very lengthy calendar, so what I'm going to do is talk about the next 2 promotions, and then if you want to do quickly some pictures of all
Very good.
3 of our
Very good.
personnel.
Did
Thank
Officer
you, Michelle.
Vasquez want to say a couple of words? This is actually the worst part of the introduction, is if you...
No, yes, we expect it.
There you go.
No, I just wanted to say thank you for the chief and everyone at graduation. They really did make me feel like they wanted me to be part of the El Centro Police Department. I think that's why I was so excited to actually start, and nervous. I'm not going to say I was freaking out a little bit yesterday, but thankfully, thanks to my parents and to the staff, everyone in El Centro, it was a great first day.
Fantastic.
So thank you.
Thank you. Okay,
Well,
Chief. Oh, we're gonna, how about if we do our comments all at the end, after we do the, okay, Chief, next up?
All right, so I'm now going to call up many of you who know as the POA president, but now as he resigned effectively today.
Hey,
A round of applause for that.
yeah, right.
So let me just share a short story about
Are
James.
you feeling the
So-
love here? Feeling the love?
So when it was announced that I was chief, right, like everything else, there's always a little bit of controversy, and so I reached out to James, and we actually met before I actually was sworn in as the chief, and we had a chance and an opportunity to break bread and talk. And what was very refreshing is, what he told me is, look, chief, whatever happened has happened, and we're looking forward to moving forward. And what I can tell you, as we pass the baton today to the new incoming POA president, as I told him, we're not always going to agree, we're not always going to see eye to eye, but we will respectfully disagree, and we will treat each other with dignity and respect, and understand that hopefully somewhere we will meet in the middle for the sake of the organization, for the sake of our people, and for the sake of our ability to really police our great city. And he lived up to that commitment and has done an incredible job as the POA president. This is now his 3rd time in competing for the sergeant's exam, and has come out either number 1 or number 2. And like me, he's got a few little bumps in the road, as we all do in our career, but I am completely confident that James is going to do an incredible job as a sergeant of police. He's going to mentor and develop our young, bright officers like we just saw Michelle and others. He has a bright future. He, has done some incredible things. He's been a field training officer for us. As we know, he's a narcotics expert. He spent the last 4 years, was instrumental in bringing our K-9 program. Unfortunately, he had to give away Max, and like his daughter told me this today, she's going to miss Max more than her dad, but that's okay. Kylie, Kylie isn't here, is she? No. So just his wife, Martha, is here with us. But, he's done a lot of things for the organization, and I'm not going to go through all of them, but he has been committed to making us a better organization, right? He has helped with our chaplain program. Like I said, our FTO, we've talked a lot about our recruitment and our retention of personnel and the things that we could do. And like every great police officer and every great man, we couldn't do what we do if it wasn't for the spouse. And one thing that James did tell me is all the sacrifices that he has made for this police department and for our city, in a very large part is because of his wife, Martha, the one that takes care of the family in the home, and their children, Connor, Kylie, as I mentioned, and Emily and Clarissa. And so we are very proud, and we have very high expectations for James. So, James, congratulations. You get to say a few words.
So, I just want to let you guys know that being a POA president and dealing with city council, I found it to be a positive, rewarding thing. I use it as a cornerstone for promoting because, working with each one of you, the city manager, city attorney, mayor, city council, it helped me grow, and I think it's going to help me later on down the road as being a leader within the department. So I actually want to thank all of you for the relationship that we've had and the learning that has taken place over the last couple of years.
Very good. Thank you, Sergeant Thompson.
Okay, certainly last but not least, I'm going to call up Commander Bonias. And so I'm going to start this with kind of a funny little story, and he probably doesn't remember this, but during my selection process, it reminded me of one of my chief's interviews where, there's still at that rank and at that level, there's still the good cop, bad cop, right? And one of my mentors, retired chief from Redlands, was certainly the bad cop in one of my chief's interviews. But Ray Bonias, I don't know if he was doing it intentionally, but he had the look, and he was on one of those boards, and as you're trying to sense the body language of that oral board, I couldn't seem to crack Ray, but I've gotten to know Ray. He's a lifelong resident of the Valley. He graduated from the police academy in '89, worked for a short stint in Imperial as a police officer, and quickly realized that he had to join the best police department in the Valley, and has been with the El Centro Police Department ever since. He has an incredible field operations background and experience, and particularly with expertise in traffic, right? We talk all the time about one of my three shalls, and right, crime prevention, traffic safety, and quality of life issues. And so we're certainly going to tap him even more so now as we really try to identify and impact our quality of life and our traffic issues and our crime prevention initiatives. He was promoted in 2008 to sergeant, and again has worked a variety of assignments, patrol, traffic. He was the administrative sergeant and had other collateral duties. Like me, he's a graduate of the FBI National Academy. Certainly an honor for many of us that have been able to attend that incredible program, Sherman Block, Leadership Institute, and wow, a 3.95 GPA, is that a typo?
Wow.
But, this was an incredible competitive process, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention the other candidates, because I can tell you they all gave it their all. They put their heart and soul into this process, and as I've told each of them, I know they're a better person for that process. I know they're a better police leader, and they're going to be better for the organization. And though they didn't get promoted this time, they certainly have the potential and will be future commanders within the organization. But I can tell you, we're blessed to have Ray as part of the command staff team. He's going to do wonders for us, and I'm just looking forward to now having him roll up his sleeves and get to work. So, Raven, yes.
Well, Honorable Mayor and City Council members, I would just like to say that it was, an honor and a privilege to be selected for the position. I look forward to working with the chief to deal with the issues that we currently face, and to work with other members within the city and departments to help improve the quality of life for our citizens. So, got challenges ahead of me and look forward to it.
Very good, thank you. Council members. Mr. Silva.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I don't know what to say. This is really an emotional day to see our own being promoted, and recognizing the service that you have provided and you will continue to provide our citizens. It's a very proud moment for me standing here to recognize all of you, recognize the chief for recognizing our local talent, and all of you are going to make our quality of life better, as Commander Bonilla indicated. So thank you so much. I do want to say, Michelle, I think I remember you from IVC, and I do that because, as Chief, as you may recall, a year or so ago, we had that Public Safety Summit at IVC where we had guests from Mexicali, Sonora, Arizona, and I think Michelle was the translator, correct? And I tell you what, she did an outstanding job translating for our non-English speaking guests that day. So not only is her police work exemplary, but also her bilingual skills are exemplary. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Garcia.
Well, number one, I'd like to say it's amazing to have a new officer on board. And thank you for joining the best department in the county. So I hope you have a wonderful career and you enjoy the benefits and camaraderie of being in the best department. So thank you very much, Officer Vasquez, and I hope you have a great time. Next, I'd like to say Sergeant Thompson. I think that's the first time I've said that officially. Sergeant Thompson. I've known you for many years, and you have been an exemplary officer, always looking ahead, always trying to push forward. You were instrumental in our K-9 program, and it has been an amazing program. And we have one of the best K-9 programs in the county. You have gone to tournaments and tested your skills with other agencies and come out victorious. Your work has been exemplary, and those stripes have been long overdue. And of course, we have to give credit to your wonderful wife, because she is taking care of your beautiful children, which I see at many events where you are active, because you are not only on duty, you are also a community figure, and you are there day in and day out, talking to people and dealing with the issues that we have, not only in the city, but in the county. And you always have an open ear, and you always have friendly advice. And I am so happy that you have finally gotten this. It's been long overdue.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Jackson.
Yeah, first I'll say I was fortunate enough to be at the swearing in this morning for Officer Vasquez, and I can see where her support comes from, because I saw her parents that were very proud and watching on as she was being sworn in. So congratulations, welcome aboard. I think what my colleagues have all said, you've joined the best department in the city, and I think you can see with the the leadership that we have, that's one of the reasons why. Sergeant Thompson, so it's going to take a little while to get used to that, but congratulations. We've built a relationship over the years as a POA president and working alongside with the council and staff. You always carried yourself professionally. We had several disagreements over the years, obviously, but you always did it in a professional manner and a respectful manner, and I appreciate that. So congratulations on your promotion. Commander Benias, known you a long time, been part of the department, kind of a mainstay of El Centro PD. Congratulations on your promotion. We look forward to many, many years of good leadership and mentoring some of our younger sergeants so that they can step up and take your place when it's time for you to step aside and retire. So congratulations to all three of you guys.
Just real quick, Madam Mayor, again, I just, my colleagues have said it, and it's hard to top them, but I'll try to. But no, at the end of the day, Officer Vasquez, just congratulations. I think you're one of 3 ladies on our police team, so I do want to congratulate you. And Chief, always grateful for the diversity and the quality and the talent that you're always promoting. And so again, just welcome. Special thanks to her family. What just an amazing support system. And not only will she be joining an incredible team, there's great equipment, great leadership, and we'll definitely be praying for your family as well for protection. And so congratulations. Officer Thompson, you're a very talented police officer. It's been a pleasure. Sergeant Thompson, you're a very talented law enforcement, pioneered that K-9 program. I don't know how many times you've been bitten by your dog, but I'm sure you've always been a good sport about it. You have an amazing wife, and he's an amazing husband because he gave you a lot of credit. But we're so glad that you are now part of our sergeant staff. And I also want to recognize Sergeant Tang, too, for being here. You guys are a great group. And then to our new commander, it's going to be exciting for you to share some of your leadership, executive leadership. So, man, we got a dream team here. And so you guys are amazing, professional. We love you guys. And thanks. We're very proud of you. So congratulations to all and to your families. Be safe out there. Thank you.
Chief, it starts at the top.
Yeah.
And you have been just an amazing leader in the 6 short months that you've been with us. And I appreciate each and every one of you. I am so proud of this department, so proud of each and every one of you. Thank you to the family for encouraging your daughter to look at police work as a career. Everyone that's here from the Border Patrol, you will sign a waiver that you will hire none of these officers. I made the mistake of inviting you here, so you're a guest in our home. You're not entitled to leave with a parting gift, so just...
I know where they work, Mayor.
Very good. But I just want to pray for a blessing of safety, each and every one of you, and to thank you and your families for your commitment to our community. So with that, now we can applaud, and then we're going to take some pictures.
Yeah,
So-
1 second. I have to say, I actually only got 2 out of the 3, so I got a little nudge. We had to move on. But Commander Bonias, I cannot forget the service that you've given to our city, and it's well deserved. And we're honored to have you as our new commander, and we wish you to have a nice long career.
Perfecto. All right, let's go.
Okay, so, okay, thank you. you want to load? Is it already there?
We are going to change up the order a little bit with regard to the next item. We're going to move forward with the presentation by the United States Border Patrol, and then we will come back to Chief Herbert, and then we do have one public comment, which will be immediately after that. Fair housing. Your picture's been in the paper quite a bit
Oh,
lately.
it has, Mayor, let me tell you. So Mayor, thank you so much. Council, thank you so much for the invitation, very much appreciated. I am here tonight accompanied by my great colleague, David Salazar. He is the Port Director here at the Calexico
Yes.
Port of Entry. I found it very, I guess, humbling to invite as well David to join me on this, because this is a dual responsibility for both of us. As U.S. Customs and Border Protection, we're one agency. He primarily is responsible for all activities that go on at the ports of entry, and I'm primarily responsible for everything else between the ports, right, that comes into our country. And this evening, we wanted to take the opportunity to come and brief the council, brief our residents here from the El Centro area on some of the things that we've been preparing for with regards to this caravan that started weeks ago from the country of Honduras. So if you would, David, here is a copy of a map on the screen. And this map really represents some of the migration trends that we have seen over time. For us, in our experience, we've seen migration come from Central America on many occasions. Never in the size of this one, never organized in the manner of this one. And we have identified along the way many different trigger points along the country of Mexico that is going to prepare us a little bit even better time and time again after those groups of people hit those triggers, so that we're well prepared by the time they hit our southern border. This caravan in particular is a caravan that is comprised of about 5,000 to 7,000 people. This is the first caravan. There are 5 groups now of caravans. This is the first one that I'm speaking about. This is the caravan, next slide, David. Central Americans normally take the route that's closest to them into the southern border of Texas and Tamaulipas. In this case, this caravan and its organizers have made it very clear that their intent is to come to Tijuana, Baja California, Mexico. So they will be trajecting through here, because in order to get to Tijuana, they have to come through Mexicali. So one of the concerns that we have is that we are prepared and that we are ready to address that depending on the circumstances that arise during their arrival. The caravan was organized and it started October 15th of 2018 in Honduras. It grew as it moved through Guatemala. The caravan organizers have indicated that they're headed to Tijuana, Mexican border in San Diego, and that is their intended destination. As the caravan has reached the Mexican southern border, there has been some protests. There has been some violence that has been experienced there against Mexican law enforcement. And one of the concerns that we have is the manner in which they entered Mexico. I'm sure many of you have seen some of the images on social media on those actions of the people in the caravan breaking through some of the barriers and attacking police and the different types of aggressions that have been experienced down there. Next slide. In this next slide, you get just a few photos of what we're seeing come across on social media and the news, as well as some information that's being provided to us by the government of Mexico. I have to say that our relationship with the government of Mexico has never been better. The information sharing is fantastic, phenomenal. The type of information that we're receiving on up-to-date, day-to-day movement of this caravan. There are a lot of logistical preparations that are going on right now. Here recently, as you know, the Department of Defense has been authorized to provide us support on the border, both at the ports of entry and between the ports of entry. For us, we're very appreciative of the support. We're managing that accordingly as it comes, because there's a very long border There, we have to also think about San Diego, we also have to think about Arizona, and obviously South Texas, because South Texas is really the one area that is in greater need because of the flow of people that are already coming. Mayor, you joined us recently for a brief meeting regarding family units in this region. I very much appreciate the support, the dialogue that you and I had. Family units here in the Imperial Valley have been experienced for months, for years. But here recently, this past fiscal year, we've had an increase of family units crossing through our border in this region. In the daily, I get maybe 80 to 100 a day. And these are moms and kids, and these are parents with children, that a lot of times detention is not available for them. That a lot of times there are challenges with housing them, because if you get a father and a daughter, there are requirements for that family composition, so therefore they take one cell, and nobody else can go into that cell. So that cell is out of commission. That could be a cell that could hold up to 100 people, but because there's a father and a daughter in it, nobody else can go in there, so then my capacity issues go up. With family units, it's a very delicate situation. It's a humanitarian crisis in a way. Many of them turn themselves in at the border. Many of them just flag a Border Patrol agent and they say, hey, we're here, can you take us in, because we don't know where to go. We're talking about children 3 years old, all the way up to maybe children that are 16, 17 unaccompanied, or they are with their parents crossing the border. One of the things that we've been working towards is improving the coordination with our NGOs, improving the coordination and liaison with shelters of women, shelters that can take some of these family units after they have gone through the process of immigration with proper documentation, where now ICE, our sister agency, has prepared the release for them and said, hey, we are done with the immigration process. There is an ankle bracelet on the head of household. They've got documents to travel in the United States. My concern is those families that have no money. They don't have enough money to buy a bus ticket, so therefore they stay in my custody. This is where we are doing some liaison with the NGOs. That's working well. It's improved over the last few months, and one of the things that we want to prepare for is that, because these are now going to be Honduran families that if they end up here in Mexicali, we're going to have to do a lot of that coordination as well. I want to pass this on over to David so he can speak about the preparations. David has been designated because he is the port director at a port of entry. Our commissioner at CBP has designated Office of Field Operations as the lead coordinators for this effort. We are here to support him as well, but I wanted to share our piece between the ports so that everyone was aware on some of the things we're doing. But David,
Thank
if you
you.
want to.
So first, what makes this group unique? You know, this group in and of itself has shown a propensity of not following the entry rules at the borders, at the Honduran border, you know, at the Mexican border. So that's a concern to us. You know, historically, we've had people come in and apply for asylum, get in line, and we're able to process, no problem at all. So I'm expecting that to happen in these groups of caravan, but I'm also have to be prepared, along with our partners, to address what if they aren't. What if it is a mad rush like we've seen at the other borders, or there is violence that takes place? So the Office of Field Operations, which is the ports of entry, and I do have 3 ports of entry along the southern border here, U.S. Border Patrol and Air and Marine Operations are making preparations in the event that the immigration caravan comes to the Mexicali Imperial Valley region. All CBP in the Imperial Valley has assessed its capabilities, so we've done our assessments, looked at the vulnerable points. Like the chief said, the DOD's here. We're working with them to shore up some of those vulnerabilities, and then we're hopefully gonna funnel everybody into the port of entry to make a legal entry. Legal. So we're gonna ensure minimum impact to the residents and visitors of the Imperial Valley. So I wanna repeat that. Minimal impact is the goal. You hear on the media of us shutting the ports of entry. That is not our intention. We want trade, we want the passengers facilitation at the port of entry. We want it to move. This is an economic engine that we're controlling, and we want that to take place for our communities. I am also an El Centro resident. I grew up here in the Imperial Valley, attended IVC. I've seen everything you know, that happens in the valley, and I do not want this to wither, and neither does CBP. So the intention is to keep it running, but to be prepared. CBP is focused, again, on any disruption to legitimate trade and travel. We also have tiered plans in place along with the Border Patrol to address these situations. The chief talked about triggers along the route. We also have triggers on what happens at the border. Is it an orderly fashion? Is it turning into violence? We're prepared in different tiered levels to take care of that. So CBP in the Imperial Valley is committed to keeping the community informed. That's an important factor of why we're here today. We want to make sure also that the public is aware that what we're informed with is also the community. So if the community is able to let us know what they're seeing and what they're hearing, that's an important factor on how we proceed. If there are updates or significant changes or commitments to keep, our goal is to keep you all informed. The community can follow our Twitter page. I called it Tweeter the other day, so it's a Twitter account. Both us and Border Patrol put feeds on that for the public to follow. Our intention is to handle anyone from the migrant caravan that comes in the Imperial Valley in a professional, respectful way within the construct of our laws while minimizing any negative impacts to the community. So again, our goal is to process them in an orderly fashion. Like the chief said, we have a great communication with the Mexican authorities. We are queuing at the border, and we're able to address them one by one. Of course, if everything starts to rush in and turns into, illegal entries, then it kind of slows us up, and then we have to move our resources left and right to address it, and that's what we do not want. And we also, I think the chief mentioned one more thing is our state and local partners. We're also working with them and preparing with them as well and keeping in communication with them. So that's it. Thank you.
Very good. Okay. Questions?
No, Madam Mayor, I just wanted to comment and just thank CBP again for just your preparedness. I can't tell you how reassured now I feel that there is a great plan. And the fact that both of you folks are here is a huge testimony in terms of the leadership and the collaboration. And then also the fact that you guys have great communications with our partners down south. I know our city has worked tremendously under the leadership of Mr. Silva, Councilmember Silva, and building those sisterhood agreements, reaching out to those folks and knowing that, we're just one big happy family. And to hear you guys say that, we don't want to shut that border down, but we're still going to protect, and we have tiered plans in place is just a tremendous effort on your guys' part. So I do want to congratulate you guys on your leadership and also recognizing that there's a lot of moving parts in this. So again, the assurance that I have from this presentation just gives me the warm and fuzzies that we're on top of it. So congratulations to both of the departments and your efforts in reaching out to those folks. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Jackson?
Yeah, first off, I want to thank our mayor for inviting you guys today. I think it's very important for our community to stay up on top of this. I guess my question to you would be, and either one of you guys can answer or both, how does in a time like this where I feel that local and federal and state law enforcement needs to work as closely as possible, how does the sanctuary state situation affect that relationship? And is it hindering the cooperation between our agency and both your departments?
Well, there are draw factors that bring the migrants here to the United States, and that is one of them. It is a factor, and also the chief mentioned about the recent rules with families having to stay together and not be in detention for a long period of time. These are factors that do draw, the people to the United States. So yes, there is a push-pull factor here.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And then also with regards to our law enforcement partners, there is a challenge. Obviously, we as on the federal level, we don't want to place them in situations where it would go against the rules of the state or the rules of what is required of them. So what we try to do is minimize their engagement to an extent that they are not arresting folks that are being detained because of illegal entry related to immigration, but maybe they can help us in another aspect for public safety and security, so that our officers remain safe during a situation that would arise in a chaotic way. I wholeheartedly agree with David. I think that is a challenge for people in our positions in a state where we do have sanctuary status or laws. I think that we have to navigate through some of those paths so that we're able to sort of balance. For us, it is a challenge. Detention is a very big challenge for us in the state of California, and this is why we have to navigate and figure ways, because at the end of the day, when you see the families, I see them. I walk over to the processing center, I see the cells, I see the children, and I see the mothers. And then I see the other type of population. We deal with two types of population. The criminal alien aspect, because we do have people that have committed violent acts in the United States, have served prison time, and then have been returned back to Mexico. Those folks don't want to live in Mexico. They want to come right back into our country. So that's a population we're dealing with. And then we're dealing with the other population, the one that's migrating north. These are families. They've been encouraged to come because of the status. San Diego, Tijuana was selected for a reason. And they know this, and the smuggling organizations know this. So it's sort of a balance that we have to sort of navigate through, but we always find a way. And I think that, as I mentioned earlier, I think this right now for us, it is a huge relief to work with our NGOs and our women's shelters, because at least these families are not being, not that I would, because I think this is why I hold on to them a little longer, until we find a resolution for them, because we can't add, I'm a resident here. I live here. I don't want to add more to our homeless community. I want to make sure that these families get the care that they need, and they move on to the destiny, or journey that they embarked on, because there are sponsors. There are people here who are sponsoring them, people who know them, relatives that are pulling them up. So eventually they'll make that connection. But it is a challenge for us as we navigate through this.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Garcia?
Well, I just want to say that it's reassuring that different agencies are coming up with a plan to keep our county safe. And ultimately, while we are compassionate to what's going on, ultimately, we have to take care of our border. We have to take care of our residents. And, you know, we need to make sure that trade keeps going. We can't close it. It would be extremely detrimental, the amount of economic instability that would occur if that would happen. So it's good to know that there's a plan, and it's very reassuring, and thank you for coming and presenting that.
Thank you.
Mr. Silva?
Thank you so much, Madam Mayor. I too want to say that I'm very encouraged by what I've heard, because I kind of detect in your presentation and in your tone both empathy and professionalism, and how you're going to deal with the issue. I do a couple of questions. What, the timing, when would you expect portions of the caravan to arrive our way?
So that's a very good question. As we saw on the map earlier, we've identified triggers in Mexico. For example, I know that they had talked about Altar Sonora as one trigger point that we are going to be monitoring as well. The other one, Punto Peñasco, is another location that we are looking at. And as the groups are getting closer, the coordination is ramping up and getting ready. We're looking at 3 weeks to 4 weeks from now, depending on the movement. This morning, we received information that about 3,000 to 5,000 of them have arrived in Mexico City, and they're being housed at a stadium in Mexico City and being treated by organizations. Many of them have blisters on their feet. Many of them are sick from the journey, and they're hungry. So they're feeding them, caring for them. But the organizers seem to be maybe a 3-day rest, and then they get back on the journey. So we're aiming for about 3 weeks from now.
So one of the things also to consider is the transportation from Mexico City to here. So traditionally, they would get on the train, I think they call it the Beast, and they would load up on the train and come down here in a pretty rapid fashion. There's buses that also bring them from those areas. So there's some movement right now from the Mexican government to control some of that transportation. So it should slow the caravan down. So that's why that amount of time could vary.
And as I recall, when we had the influx of I'm going to call them refugees from Africa,
Haitian.
So I think your capacity to process those applications was limited because of personnel, and so it took a long time for people to those refugees to solicit status. Do you expect the same kind of issue arriving? So those migrants that are coming may have to, by definition, be around for quite some time?
Yeah, so the intent right now, it looks like the group is heading towards Tijuana, but as Tijuana gets full and they're waiting in line to get processed, there's those groups that get impatient, and there's the ones behind them that are coming in seeing the bottleneck. So I do see a filtered group coming back to the Imperial Valley in the Mexicali region and trying to apply here at the port of entry. Anytime there's a waiting in line, there's gonna be people that get impatient and try to jump fences or run through our areas they shouldn't be entering. So with that, expends resources. As we move the resources to address that type of threat, it does affect the legitimate travel.
So would you expect some of these migrants to actually want to cross illegally as opposed to soliciting some kind of formal status?
Yes,
as well?
I'm sure there will be many that do attempt to cross legally. A lot, there's people with records that have been here before, have been deported, or criminal records. Those guys are not going to attempt to enter at the correct point. The ones that are coming in with family members are more likely the ones that are going to claim asylum and credible fear at the ports of entry.
And I know that you always kind of prepare for the worst case scenario. So what would be the worst case scenario in these circumstances?
I'll let the chief speak as well, but my thought is a non-orderly group that wants to push their way in a mass way. Yes.
So it's very similar as David described. You saw the images on social media from Guatemala into Mexico, pushing very disorderly, breaking barriers down, throwing projectiles to the officers, attacking the officers. That would be a very, very last resort type thing that we would expect. If it worst case scenario that happens, then now you have teams. You have teams of not only officers that work at the port to respond, but you have Border Patrol agents responding to the port of entry. You have, we have already activated Border Patrol agents from the Canadian border to come down to the southern border. We have agents from our sister sectors, as well as officers from Office of Field Ops, from San Diego region coming here, Arizona coming here. Worst case scenario, we need a buildup. The one thing that we're leaning on the military is the easy transport. Some of the discussions this morning on the telecon with the Department of Defense has been to acquire large helicopters that could put 50 officers, let's say from San Diego, that are from the port of entry or Border Patrol agents that can load up a helicopter and be here within minutes versus the drive across the mountain. It's little things like that logistically that we're planning for so that we can beef up the security at the port and then lean on our local law enforcement for other type of responsibilities to keep the public safety in our communities.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
I did want to recognize we have our Chief Probation Officer, Dan Prince, here as well. Again, I think that the collaboration between the different law enforcement agencies is just very, very important. A few things I was hoping to clarify. There's an existing backlog right now, though, right? So how many people are already waiting to be processed if you have a ballpark number, and this is just going to exacerbate that number?
Right. So in the last influx, when we had the Haitian group come in, we were packing our ports of entry, and
Right.
a lot of people were sick, and it was just an unsafe situation.
Right.
So we have a control number that we control in the port of entry, and we queue them up with the organization with the Mexicans as well. There's probably close to 200 already in Mexicali right now. With the people that we have at the port, you add to that, that's a big number.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. One of the other things I think, Chief, that we had a chance to talk about, and I do appreciate that our police chief was able to join us for the meeting at your office. Best case scenario is that the folks that do come, you hold them for 20 days, and then we move them to where there's resources that actually can help,
Right.
as opposed to being stuck here with our limited resources. That's still the plan.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's still the plan.
One of the things that we had talked about, and I'll close with this, is the opportunity to perhaps have somebody from the consulate office from Honduras and/or Guatemala, because I think they're hanging out in San Bernardino.
They are.
Can we get them to come down here?
They are, Mayor, and I'm so pleased that you reminded me of this. So we are making some headway with that, and I very much appreciate your support, the support as well as the chief that day in providing ideas on maybe a satellite office right here in El Centro.
Yes.
That can be, they can be based here so that they can do their daily engagement with their nationals from Honduras or Guatemala to get those cases processed as quickly as
Yes.
possible. So we are making headway. I actually have a meeting coming up with both.
Okay.
My priority is going to be Honduras, obviously, and then Guatemala. If I can get representatives from both of those consulates to come down, sit, and then have a satellite office to facilitate that, we expect those processing to go pretty fast.
Yeah, we will facilitate whatever we can do to help with
And
that.
that is so important when we get the unaccompanied children, because
Yes.
that's the saddest case when we see a lot of unaccompanied minors. And with the consulate's help, we're able to identify their families and locations that they can return back to safely.
Absolutely. Very good. Chief, did you have any questions or clarification? We're good. Anything else? Again, very grateful for your presentation. Thank you. Appreciate it. Oh, Ms. Caniston. Yeah, oh, yes, the hospital's here. Hospital's in the house.
Hello, Kathy Kennerson, Chief Strategic Officer for El Centro Regional Medical Center. Madam Mayor, I do have a couple questions, if you don't mind. And forgive me if you're already on this, but in the event that there is some problems at the port and you have to close it down, our hospital has been very full. We have a very high census. In 3 to 4 weeks, I anticipate that we'll continue to have a high census because of cold and flu season. And a number of our employees live in Mexico. So have you considered some kind of protocols for contacting the hospital in the event that it has to be shut down? So we'll know, who's not going to be able to make it over for work, especially the nurses. And then the second part is, and you brought up the issue about the Haitians. We did see some of them in our emergency department. So again, if there's a lot of sick people presenting at the border, we're going to need to be able to coordinate that if we're really going to be impacted in our emergency department. And here's my card in case I need to get in touch with somebody. Okay.
I'll attempt to answer a little bit of that. There are medical annexes to the plan, that our tiered plan, and part of that deals with comms and reaching out to the local hospitals. Also, as we work with the DOD, we're working on getting actual physicians there
Oh,
that can help
great.
us clear some of the detainees instead of taking them to the hospital, which would relieve some of the burden from you.
That'd
And
be
both
awesome.
of our forces have a huge amount of EMTs and medical first responders that we've learned from last caravans to beef up.
As David mentioned, we have had, we're logistically, this is one of the things of this great country of the United States of America, the military coordinates significantly well with logistics. There was a coordination call just this afternoon on all medical
Good.
officers, EMTs, setting up tents, et cetera, to address any type of injuries with folks that were coming a part of the caravan. With regards to notification, heads up, port, I would probably defer to David with that, and any type of coordination for notification to our local hospitals on that.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you again.
Thank you, Mayor, appreciate it, thank you.
Look forward to seeing you again. Okay. Very good. Moving on then to our next presentation will be from our Fire Chief, Ken Herbert. And this, I'll remind the council kind of along the same lines. We had Chief Johnson provide us with an opportunity to update us with regard to the police department, and no pressure, Chief Herbert, but that was an outstanding presentation.
Yeah, great.
that,
Good job. Madam Mayor, members of the council, city staff, community, thank you for allowing me to have this opportunity to talk to you about state of the fire department. I actually have like 60 slides.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, are you serious?
Yeah, yeah.
You serious?
But no, I do. But I have an abbreviated version. If there's
Like
yeah,
six.
I'm prepared to get into the weeds if you
Bullet
need me
points.
to. So what I focused on was updating the, giving you an update of what has happened since the Center for Public Safety and Management report came out.
Okay.
There were 43 recommendations covering everything from facilities, apparatus, community risk assessment, wellness and safety for our folks, strategic planning and operational improvements, fire prevention training, emergency planning, and dispatch. Just as a review, we got the final draft delivered to the city in January of this year. We immediately distributed that out throughout the department, all the personnel. We actually begun having discussions department-wide at that point. There was a meeting with, some of you folks attended, conference call back in April. All staff within the fire department were invited to attend. We followed that up with meetings with the shifts. And we established a committee back in January, and this committee is still going. It's made up of labor and management representatives to address all the different points. So that's where we're at. I've got some things within this report identified as time frame. So we looked at all the recommendations. We looked at what do we need to take care of immediately, what's in the short term, medium range, and what are our long-term goals. So I do have slides for each of these that I'm going to skip across unless you have specific questions. But within facilities, the report called out that we need to start looking at replacing Station 1, which was built in the 40s. Also to look at Station 2. There are some things that we're doing now that are addressed in the first round of Measure P that'll enhance the safety at these stations, including some fire alarm components and such. Apparatus and vehicles are recommendations 7 through 10, focusing on replacement plans, essentially, utilizing certified personnel for the maintenance of apparatus, and ensuring that all of our testing is performed on a regular basis. Community risk assessment. The recommendation was to utilize a program called Vision for pre-fire planning. Essentially, that's gathering information within the community where our target hazards are, and then planning for those. We do have that software package. We have been entering data into that now for the last couple of years. It's going to take us another year or so of input before we're able to get some real usable information back out of it. Moving on. Wellness and safety. This is something that we're striving to comply with. We do hold our physicals annually. We actually work with El Centro Regional. They provide our physicals and at a greatly reduced price from our previous vendor. Strategic planning. So the recommendation here was for the department to develop its own strategic plan. I've had conversations with the city manager regarding this. The city is going to be updating their strategic plan, so we plan on capitalizing on those working groups to give some specific department feedback that will aid us in developing our plan as well. The last bullet point there, the staff 2 engines, 1 quint, 1 squad with a minimum of 12 people.
Help me with the quint is,
The quint is the one with the ladder on it.
thank you.
It does 5 things, but I listed this as medium to long range because there is a significant budget commitment with this. It would, our minimum staffing today is 10, so going to 12 is pretty, significant. We can start looking at SAFER grants, which is a funding source that does a 75% match on staffing in years 1 and 2, and then a 35% match in year 3. But we haven't followed this, and we haven't sought this funding opportunity in previous years because of the commitment to it. So we want to make sure that we plan this appropriately when the need kicks in, and then we can explore this and discuss this further. Some of the other recommendations have to do with, I guess, beefing up our current agreements with our local partners. So we are and have been in talks with them about auto aid agreements with Imperial County Fire, particularly. And then the last bullet point there: dedicate 1 ambulance full time in El Centro. That is an ongoing discussion now for the past couple of years. It's not something that the provider is able to do. They can't even entertain that discussion because of their own staffing problems.
But is that a contractual issue with the county that we are continuing to struggle with?
No, and we were involved in the group that helped formulate the contract,
Right.
the new contract. So we made sure that language was in place that would allow for the private provider to negotiate with every city independently if they wanted to do enhancements.
Right.
So our question to Gold Cross was, what would it take? We want one ambulance full-time in El Centro, never to leave the city limits unless there's, some huge mutual aid event.
Right.
Come back with a number. And their response is, we can't even discuss that because we just don't have the staffing in place to do it. So told them, we're interested in, we'll talk about cross-staffing and, shared staffing, those types of agreements, and they're just not in a position to do it. It's not anything we've given up on, it's just at this time they can't move forward with it. I'm going back to this one. That one is a little frustrating from
Yeah,
my point of view
right.
because we are not in a position where we can go out and buy an ambulance, staff it, and then provide the service. So this is a state control kind of an issue.
Well, and that's the thing.
Yeah.
If we were allowed to do it and voluntarily decided not to, that's one thing.
Right.
But to be precluded from being able to do it because of state law, that's another issue.
Yeah, and we had a lot of interesting conversations with county EMS about this. Like, let's set it up so we can run in second place. So when you cannot meet your contractual obligation, we
Right.
can step in and fulfill it.
Right.
And that was off the table as well. So. Let's see, we got collect EMS bills. I do want to talk about that. There is a mechanism in place to bill for emergency response, and that came from your body down. We looked at that a couple of years ago, and we're actually losing money on that to the tune of between $5,000 and $6,000 a year on collections because of the cost of processing and such. So we stopped doing that.
Didn't we just go to a new vendor with regard to being able to collect our fees?
False alarm fees, yes.
Well, false alarm and other things, so
Is fire included with those fees?
I don't think
Okay,
so.
so there is a new fee study, and our fees are part of that study.
Right, but who's doing the invoicing and the collection work for you?
Right now?
Yeah.
Nobody. We were contracted with the company. I don't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but again, since we were bleeding money on this, it didn't make sense to continue.
I think we should probably revisit and see if we can roll it up underneath the contract that we just executed for the other licensing fees and false alarms, okay?
So part of that recommendation from CPSM was it's more of a policy decision on
Right.
how aggressive do you want to be with these collections. There are communities that are more aggressive with out-of-town residents, out-of-town folks, so. Okay, this speaks to what we already talked about. So this is back to the staffing, minimum of 12 personnel. Again, that's a medium to long term. We talked about that. I told you there were 60 slides. So within fire prevention, because of the residential growth that is projected to occur, it's just on our radar screen to add an inspector's position. Where that position will fall is up for discussion. We're perfectly happy with the way things are going now for residential fire sprinkler inspections. Building and safety handles those. The next bullet point is to partner with outside agencies to enhance public education programs. We've had some pretty strong relationships in the past, particularly with the Burn Institute.
Yes.
They've had their funding issues and haven't been able to provide the level of support. We have picked that back up, if you will. Not to the level that they were doing it, but focused on El Centro. And we really, I guess, hit it the hardest during the month of October. And not just with open house, which is a great event, but there are a number of station tours, sometimes 2 to 4 per day that are coming through. So we're getting the opportunity to get those messages out there. But there are areas to improve as well, so.
I had forgotten about the Burn Institute. We haven't had a fireball down here for quite some time.
Right.
Hmm.
Training, so there was 9 recommendations regarding training, including adding staff dedicated just to training and safety, needs assessment, prioritizing training, adding skills testing. It talks about task books and certification for promotion. Those are things that are in place and ongoing. Formal fire officer training program. We rely on the state for this, essentially. So the state has a great program set up, and our job descriptions mirror that. In order to be qualified for promotion, you need to do these things. And we have, I think as a department, done a better job of supporting individuals that are seeking that training. Annual evaluation of the emergency operations plan. That one has lagged a bit, and we have a plan in place. It is current. It is coming up here shortly in need, within the next couple of years, in need of revision. And we kind of got hit almost out of the blue on this, but there's a plan exercise scheduled for next week. So more information will come out on that as I get it. Emergency planning, dealing with continuity of operations. All departments can identify SOGs to develop succession planning. Conducting a threat index, that's something that occurs with a plan update. We did do that the last go around. We'll do it with the next go around as well. Then there was a couple of recommendations with dispatch. We do liaison with dispatch. They're recommending standard protocols for transfer of alarms. That's in place. Those could be tuned up a bit. And we do already have ongoing staff meetings with them as well. So moving forward, the beauty of this plan was in the process that led up to it. And I think it served as a catalyst to bring everybody together working towards common goals. I'm happy that our committees are still active, and it's given us a roadmap to success, if you will. Additionally, so some things that aren't in the report. So the strike teams, kind of count on these requests to continue to come in over the next years. Fire season, I talked about this last week about October being the busy month, right? I was just reading today too that like they're saying, it's not over. We're including November. So, it's not just going out and giving help, but to me, there's a tremendous benefit to the city here. Is the agreement between the state and the locals is to make us whole. All right, so what they do is they take the average hourly rate for each rank, give it the 1.5 times, add an administrative rate, pay for our apparatus that are out there in an attempt to make us whole. But beyond that is the experience that our people gain while being out there. We have an emergency operations plan, and we can have exercises and plan for large-scale events, but until you've been to one and participated in one and understand the scope and magnitude of all the different agencies and coordinating together, that experience, it's the best training out there. So I'm a fan of our strike team response and the state mutual aid system. Quick response vehicles. We did just order a new vehicle, expect that vehicle to be in service in January. The quick response vehicle is, we use a pickup essentially, or an Explorer if we need to run medical aids. So we're running about 80% of our calls are medical aid in nature. We talked about the Quint very briefly a moment ago. We mentioned it. Well, the Quint is, to replace that in today's dollars is about 1.5 million. You know, we can put a QRV in service for about 70,000. So it makes good sense to run the QRV on the calls. There's a response time factor in there as well. The QRVs are able to arrive on scene of the medical aid calls about 30 seconds faster than the heavier apparatus. So moving forward, this is something that we're going to continue to do. So whether it's through cross-staffing or dedicated units, we'll figure that all out, but it makes good sense. And it is, you know, we didn't invent the QRV, but we saw it as a good idea, a good opportunity for us. We implemented it, and it's catching on nationwide.
Yeah, Chief, and that's what I really wanted to follow up on, is on the QRV, and just kind of the future of it. I believe our mayor was doing some research on it, and I guess they were referring to it as rapid response before. But I mean, in your strategic kind of crystal ball, is that kind of what's happening? And then that's probably, there's some nexus between the opioid epidemic as well. But I mean, are they looking at some vehicles, you know, that maybe command a little bit more respect when they're out there? I mean, if I have a Ford Explorer that's coming, you know, I may not pull over as quickly as if I saw a big, you know, fire truck, and again, way above my pay grade, but I've heard that a lot of times the quick response vehicles don't command the respect that a fire truck may have. And then also staffing, you know, staffing would go from 2 to 3, and sometimes, you know, there's some issues there, could be some issues there, but can you kind of enlighten me a little bit about, you know, what is the future of QRVs?
I'll give it an attempt. So there are definitely trade-offs, and I know from a responder standpoint that there is a concern that, you know what, people see an engine coming down the street. Okay, the trade-off there is that it doesn't stop as quick. It doesn't maneuver as quick. There's trade-offs from the administrative side of things that, you know, it's a lot more expensive, not just the purchase price, but the maintenance and ongoing upkeep and such. You know, with this new QRV, we're looking at, I mean, there's a lot of things have changed, and the environment evolves rapidly. The lighting is LED based. You know, I'm coming down 8th Street the other night going home. I pulled over right after wake because there's red lights flashing down the street.
I saw those.
Yeah. Then I started creeping
What was
towards
that?
it. It was just an ambulance parked on the side of the road. I think they were broke down actually because didn't look like any patient care or anything was going on. But you could see them like a mile away.
Yes.
So we can address some of those issues by utilizing that equipment. The sirens now, they have, I think what they refer to as a thumper. So it's a low frequency.
Hip hop type?
Yeah, basically a woofer. Yeah, it's a subwoofer, and it's designed to rattle the vehicle. So, you know, as vehicles are so airtight and you know, noise canceling features of new vehicles and such, these are made to shake the vehicle as you're approaching. So I think that, you know, again, there's a balance, but certainly don't want to throw safety away on this, and I don't think we're doing anything to jeopardize safety. As far as staffing goes, yeah, you know, you arrive on scene with a fire engine, there's, you know, a minimum of 3 personnel on scene for the medical aid. If you start diving into the numbers, looking at the nature of the medical aid and the type of medical aid, I don't believe that we're giving up a lot by having 2 personnel on scene. And I think that the trade-off is warranted when you're looking at, personally, if I'm having a heart attack, I'd rather have the 30 seconds. So, but those are all good points, and it's stuff that that comes up regularly during discussion, and there are, you know, good things to consider. So.
Chief, I just have a question. You know, the QRV, it's an amazing thing. It sounds wonderful in theory, but I'm wondering if at the dispatch level they can distinguish what needs to get sent out.
You know, great question. Thank you for that. We actually had some heartache with this at the beginning. I had a staff, one of my BCs working with dispatch, and they developed the changes that they needed to change. So it's been in the works. It's working now. We had some hiccups at the beginning because it was something new, but now we're used to it. So
that's great.
Recruitment, We're gonna have lateral firefighters as an ongoing continuous recruitment. I believe that the entry level as well. We have promotional testing scheduled. Battalion chief will take place in December, captains in March, engineers in February. Our current recruitment, we have, we've previously discussed some of our woes there, but we have one candidate in background. This started with 40 people who were EMTs and academy grads. And that's down to one person in background now. We did reach out and, I spoke with the city manager and Terry was involved with this as well. We reached right out to the academy, IVC Fire Academy, found out they had a graduating class in December. We did a special recruitment, if you will, opened up the application process for them for 1 week. We had 5 applicants, which kind of blows me away too. I only had 5, not every single one of them. But those are being processed as well.
I don't know, Chief, but I will find out.
Okay. Thanks. I'm actually excited about it. The Chief Estrada, who coordinates all that, he was pretty excited about it too. I think it would be, if it works out, it's going to be a great opportunity. I think it's going to do a lot for IVC's program. It'll do a lot for us. I mean, if we can actually hire people right out of the academy, it's like they step foot out of graduation, they step foot onto a job, that would be amazing. So that's
That
what we're
would be
looking forward to.
amazing.
So that is, that's my presentation. If you have any questions?
Remind me again, CPSM is,
Center for Public Safety Management.
thank you. Mr. Cardenas?
Again, just interested, I'm glad we're in a position where we can think strategically. Chief, you obviously have a lot of technical expertise. I would just encourage, and again, way above my pay grade here, but that we also take a look at the county's EMS strategic plan. I know it's kind of tough working with them, but, we can't continue to supplant county EMS with our services and not be able to collect those revenues. Will probably drive Ms. Leticia crazy. But, if we can maybe take a look at their strategic plan, make sure that ours is either aligned with them or, there's some understanding of where the gaps are and where the performance issues are. I constantly, and when I'm in town, I'm always seeing that our engines are first on scene before Gold Cross.
Right.
And it always grieves me to see that. I mean, not from a response standpoint, but from the fact that, hey, we have county EMS, and it appears that we're supplanting county EMS. And so, and we've had discussions about this, but, the county needs to really understand, or maybe we need to understand that, that's just not sustainable. And so we're here to advocate for you. So if there's anything we can do from a council standpoint, I know Ms. Piedra's all over it as well, or, Betsy, but anything we can do to address that and help your efforts there.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, Chief, thanks for the presentation. I think, I think we'd all like to see that success story from the IVC Academy, and I know Mr. Silva would certainly like to see that, but I think to be able to pull those local graduates and have them employed here and understand that they're not going to be somebody that we're going to train and get that further training so they can go elsewhere because their family base is here in town, I think is great. We live in an interesting time where we're, for the city, when we start looking at the replacement of Fire Station 1, which has been a mainstay in this city for, way before I remember. I remember kindergarten class going there and doing sliding down the pole and everything. I mean, it's kind of that mainstay there. So now we're talking about how do we move on from that? We've outgrown it. We're trapped, landlocked right there. And we had a conversation today in closed session regarding that, just kind of thinking ahead and, and the fact that we have the Measure P money to start looking at something as grand as that. And so, definitely exciting times, but definitely an interesting time for the city as growth comes. And even looking at Fire Station 2 and what do we do there as far as, potential expansion or even a brand new facility. So looking forward to further conversations about that and looking forward to hopefully grabbing some of those recruits and putting them employed with the city.
Great,
So,
thank you.
Thank you.
Anything, Mr.?
Yeah, thank you, Chief. That was excellent presentation. But as I'm looking at all of the recommendations that you have in front of us, I can't help but wonder, how are you going to keep track of progress and completion and all that stuff to make sure that the recommendations get addressed over time?
Thank you for asking. Actually, every single one of those has been identified with immediate, short-term, medium, or long-term goal. And that came out of the committee. And as we meet, we assign, you know, the sheet that I've got in my office has got names on it, who's doing what. And so we do expect people to come back, and so we are making progress. So it is being closely tracked.
Okay.
And that is being tracked somewhat through the Community Enhancement Committee
okay.
as well.
Okay.
Well, Chief, thank you very much for your presentation. It was very thorough, it was very enlightening, and I think that on a positive note, the city of El Centro has been extremely blessed to have our public safety headed by two very fine chiefs that are definitely looking at dotting their I's and crossing their T's and bring it to the council so we can make informed decisions and we can try to push our city forward. And it's great to see that we're looking at not only what has worked in the past, but the new innovative techniques that are coming out in the future and how we can implement them to make our city better. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
I think I'm going to piggyback on comments with regard to the EMS response, and that's just always given me so much heartburn because we are there first, and then we get the patient stabilized, and then we wait for Gold Cross to show up so that they can transport them to the hospital,
Right.
bill for the service,
Right.
get paid for the service, and we're losing $6,000 a year trying to collect on being first there.
responders, yeah.
There's got to be a solution, whether it's a legislative solution or something else. I think we need to brainstorm a little bit more on
Yeah.
that and see, is there any kind of appetite elsewhere in the state of California to move forward to get out of that restriction? So let's have some more dialogue
Okay,
about that.
very good.
All right, excellent
Thank you.
presentation, Chief. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, real quick, I do want to ask the gentleman from Inland Fair Housing, this is our only public speaker slip tonight, so rather than making you wait through the rest of the meeting, so
Thank you.
my coloring partner.
That's right. So I'll make this short. It's been a long night for everybody. So good evening, Mayor, council members, and members of the community. My name is Jesus Sakach, and I work for Inland Fair Housing and Mediation Board. We are pleased to announce that Eileen Garcia has become the new President and Chief Executive Officer of Inland Fair Housing and Mediation Board. Ms. Garcia comes to Inland Fair Housing from San Antonio, Texas, where she served as managing attorney at one of the legal aids over there. She was not able to attend today's meeting, but I'm here for her. IFHMB provides numerous services to the community of El Centro residents funded through the CDBG. That include education on fair housing laws, investigation of housing discrimination complaints, and assist individuals who are having landlord-tenant disputes. We offer mediation to all clients and act as net neutral third parties in an attempt to reach an agreement to avoid evictions and help in preventing homelessness. We make sure we provide housing rights and responsibilities to all residents and housing providers. We will continue to work with the City of El Centro to assist the community with fair housing issues and inform the community of any additional programs offered, such as default and foreclosure counseling, financial education, first-time homebuyer workshops, and other housing counseling services. These programs are offered to the community at no charge, so please remember to refer anybody that's experiencing a landlord-tenant issue or maybe even a fair housing concern. We are located at 444 South 8th Street here in El Centro. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you so much. We do so value the services provided
Thank you.
provided by Inland Fire Housing. So maybe when the new director is here, we can take her out for a cup of coffee or something.
Right. She was intending to be here, but things happen, but she'll make it over.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to move on then to the consent calendar. We will pull item number 11 because I think, Mr. Silva, you need to abstain. Anything else coming off of consent? If not, we'll look for a motion to approve items 4 through 10. I have a motion by Garcia, second by Cardenas, and that passes 5-0. Move on then to item number 11. And again, that's being pulled to allow Mr. Silva to abstain. A motion by Cardenas, second by Jackson, and that is adopted 4 with 1 abstention. Okay, we'll move on then to item number 12, which is our site plan review 18-08, El Centro Regional Medical Center Emergency Department Expansion. Ms. Villacana. Probably till, I don't know, at least Friday.
We'll be here.
Yes.
Ms. Villacana?
Thank you. Good evening, Honorable Mayor and members of the council. The project before you is a site plan review application that was submitted by El Centro Regional Medical Center for their emergency room department, emergency department expansion. Before you, what you see is a site plan of the proposed expansion of the emergency room, which basically consists of 12 medical exam beds, 3 triage rooms, a waiting room, staff support areas, patient entry, and also a covered patient drop-off area. And if I may say, 2 representatives from the El Centro Regional Medical Center are here for any other questions that you may have about the project. This is an image of the proposed project, the emergency room expansion. The project location, as you know, is just adjacent to the existing emergency room. It's in the, it's zoned, the El Centro Regional Medical Center is zone limited use and public use. Surrounding land uses, to the north you have the ECRMC hospital. To the east and to the south you have single-family residential. And then to the west you have other hospital facilities at Imperial Avenue. Regarding environmental and noticing requirements, the project is exempt under CEQA. A notice of the public hearing was published in the Ivy Press. Also, notices were sent to the surrounding neighbors. We did receive one comment from a resident along Pepper Drive, and I believe you have a copy of it. Basically, the comment from that resident was mostly geared, focused on the parking issues around the hospital. These were some of the bullet points of her comment letter, basically stating that parking is, it's almost impossible to park along Pepper Drive. Pepper Drive, the parking permit requirements are being ignored. That other resident places, that some residents place traffic cones in front of their homes to not let people park there. In reviewing and in responding to her comments, we went back to the city code, and basically what the city code requires is 1 space per 1,000 square feet. So in assessing the parking requirements and what is being proposed, we have right now the required parking, as you can see, for the hospital is 132. And post-construction, there would be 250 parking spaces. Now, for the MOB, the medical office building, The required parking at that site is 223. The parking at that site is 84, but the balance of the 223 parking are made up at the Central Baptist Church. Then you have the proposed ancillary service building that would require 29 parking spaces, and the expansion to the emergency department would require an additional 9 parking spaces. So in total, there are 393 parking spaces that are required per our municipal code. If you look at the entire parking capacity, once all the improvements are completed, there would be 532 parking spaces available. And that includes the temporary parking lot, which we was previously just recently opened. So in our response to the resident, we basically informed her of the requirements and the capacity that will happen after the completion after the construction is completed. Right now, there's not a lot of parking along immediate to the emergency room because a lot of that area is being used as a staging area. But again, once the construction is complete, there's going to be more parking around the emergency room. And so at this time, we're asking that the public hearing be opened and allow any input on the project from proponents or opponents. And we are recommending that the site plan review be approved per the resolution attached to the staff report.
Okay, questions? I am going to open the public hearing. I do not currently have any public hearing slips, so we'll ask some questions, see if anybody wants to comment. Mr. Silva?
Go ahead.
No.
Mr. Garcia? Jackson?
No.
Just, Ms. Villacana, in regards to the enforcement of the parking permit, did we provide any information back to that resident? I know we discussed what the requirements were for parking, but any ideas on what we can do to ensure or provide that comfort level that we are enforcing that so they don't have to put the cones out there or any other obstruction?
Yes, in fact, I also spoke to the Public Works Director whose department issues those parking permits, and maybe Abraham can help me as to how the process, those permits are issued annually. And they're only going to be issued to residential properties. So those properties that are being rezoned or that are not residential will not be issued permits, which are the properties owned by the hospital.
Ms. Villacana, can I just confirm that her concern was that we're maybe not enforcing that, or is the concern that we're not giving out the permits?
A little bit of both. Her concern is that people are parking there without permits. What we did after we received her letter, Mr. Hernandez drove out there a couple, maybe 2-3 times throughout the week at different times to just take a look at what's going on. And the cars that were, there was adequate parking available on the south side of Pepper Drive. On the north side, along the hospital, everything was taken. But there was more than enough parking available. He didn't witness, he didn't see anything out of the ordinary. But it's something that basically we can encourage the the traffic officer to maybe do more rounds in that area.
Okay. That's fine, Mr. Campos. And I do have a follow-up question for Ms. Kennerson, maybe when it's appropriate.
So just to clarify, we are or are not issuing citations for people parking on Pepper who do not have a permit?
I would defer that to Chief Johnson. I believe we are.
That are we issuing citations to cars parked along Pepper that do not have a permit?
So obviously, we have our traffic enforcement officer going out there and hitting the specific areas where we have complaints. I do not have any information specific to actual citations.
Okay.
But I'm sure there probably have been some, and I can report back to the city manager with a definitive answer.
Or Madam Mayor, may I recommend in lieu of that concerned chief, could we maybe consider a detail there? You know, considering that there is maybe some grievances and concerns, could we do a special detail there?
So I know we have in the past, and again, I'll get those stats of what those numbers look like and what we can do going forward.
Okay. Thanks, Chief.
Ms. Viacana, could you go back to the slide where you had the side-by-side comparison for the numbers? So when I think about the hospital, and help me out here, because I'm thinking, we talk about we have more than enough spaces with regard to our city code, if we look at our city code, and I think that you talked about square footage. Right? But if I'm looking at the hospital, we've got to provide parking for hospital staff, hospital patients, and visitors. So do our codes take into consideration the dynamics of maybe a much larger number of people versus just a simple, hey, it's 45,000 square feet, so these
It does not, and that's something that I think.
we need to relook, because, and I don't want to make it difficult on our hospital since we own it, so I don't want to make things difficult on ourselves, but Mr. Silva and I attended the last hospital board meeting, and there was a concern voiced at that time about parking, and I think it's come up quite frequently just over the course of time that certainly I've served on the board as well as Mr. Silva. So I would like us to revisit the number of spaces, and perhaps we could outreach to, for example, other areas that have hospitals and see how they determine the number of spaces. So, I mean, we've got a target-rich environment in San Diego, Palm Springs, those areas. Maybe you could contact some of your counterparts in those planning departments and just say, what kind of formula do you use to calculate parking on hospital campuses, given these dynamics? And maybe it's different for the main campus versus emergency room, and then we've got the medical office building that we just opened up. So I think, I'd love to see that we're exceeding what we need, but I'm not sure that we have the right number yet. Okay? Mr. Cardenas, you had a question for?
Ms. Kennerson, I just had a quick question, and I'm not sure if you can answer it. But in regards to the construction and the construction workers, are they, is there some special arrangements for them when it comes to parking, or is there maybe some alternative sites and maybe shuttle them in to kind of alleviate some of the parking? Again, I'm just throwing that out there. Maybe to help mitigate some of the parking concerns, maybe we can have some of the construction for workers. And I don't mean to burden them. They work hard and that kind of stuff. Maybe there's some alternatives or maybe some mitigation we can consider on the construction workers that are maybe using some of the parking spaces.
Well, first let me clarify in terms of the staff. The staff is prohibited from parking on campus. They are directed to park at the church or actually at the temporary parking lot that is on campus. But those are the only two areas that they are supposed to park. And we are towing away from the campus any employee who parks there. And I did notice tonight, even the night shift is supposed to park out there. So on my way here, I noticed that a lot of people pulling into the church parking lot. So even though it's dark out and then they have to cross, two streets basically to get to the hospital, they are doing that. So they did get the message that they're not to park anywhere but those locations. And we've also asked them to not park in the neighborhoods, to be good neighbors. They do not park on Pepper or Poplar because they know that they will get tickets. I do want to clarify that the parking spaces north of Pepper that are contiguous with the hospital property are not part of the residential permit requirement, so employees do park in that area because they are contiguous with our property. So I hope the city continues that policy and allows us to park on Poplar contiguous with our property, even though they're not residential, so that we don't have to have permits on Poplar either, because at least we need to be consistent with the policy. So I did want to bring that up. As for the construction workers, I'm going to bounce that over here to Mark because we don't allow the construction workers to be on hospital campus. They did park at the MOB while they were finishing that up. But the project with the ASB, that they might be parking in the staging area, but they're not allowed to park on campus.
Yeah, so they're actually carpooling because most of them are from San Diego. So they carpool and their vehicles are parked in the laydown area, which is part of the construction site. So they're not taking up patient parking.
Again, I don't mean to burden, I know they work and they commute, but parking is pretty important down there, so I just wanted some clarity on that.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
So, Ms. Biacania, can we maybe kick this out for, well, not the action, but how long do you think it would take for you to come back with a reassessment with regard to parking? 90 days?
No, I would say by December, maybe the second meeting in December.
Very good. Okay. I will note that this is a public hearing. Is there anyone that would like to be heard on this item? If not, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing and bring it back to council and look for a motion to adopt resolution number 18-93. Resolution of City Council of the City of El Centro approving site plan conditions of approval for the expansion of the El Centro Regional Medical Center Emergency Department at 1415 Ross Avenue. We have a motion by Jackson, second by Silva, and that's adopted 5-0. Very good. Ms. Viacania, next up, cost recovery for nuisance abatement at 356 West Hile. We'll note this is also a public hearing if you'd like to be heard on this item. Thank you, hospital folks. Good night. Okay.
I don't have a PowerPoint presentation. I do have a photo of the house. You may recall, we came before you back in May. We boarded, 1-800 Board Up helped us with cleaning the property and also boarding the property. Well, after the property was boarded up, we had people trying to enter the property, removed some of the boards, so we had to go back and reboard the property to secure it, to keep people from entering the dwelling. So what you have before you are the costs associated with that work that was done, and we're asking for authorization to recover the cost by placing the lien on the property.
And that, the amount of the lien is?
$653.91.
Okay, this is a public hearing. No one wants to speak to this item. We'll close the public hearing. Any questions for Ms. Viacania?
Nope.
If not, we'll look to adopt resolution number 18-94. Resolution of City Council, City of El Centro, California, approving the statement of costs for summary nuisance abatement for 356 West Hile Avenue and approving the recording of a notice of lien, collection thereon, and related actions pursuant to Chapter 18 of the City Code. We have a motion by Cardenas, second by Silva, and that passes 5-0. Okay, moving on to new business. Funding, support, and services agreement between the City of El Centro and the Friends of El Centro Community Services Foundation. Ms. Nava.
Hello, Honorable Council. So this presentation is between the City of El Centro. It's for an agreement between the City of El Centro and the Community Services Foundation. So just a little brief background. The foundation, its articles of incorporation were filed with the Secretary of State in 2014. The goals of the foundation are achieved through enhancing parks, recreation, library services, and other city programs that improve the quality of life for El Centro residents. To this end, the foundation has actively pursued private and public grants. So recently, as you may be aware, Kelly came in and informed that $1.6 million was awarded to the foundation through CAL FIRE to plant trees on private and city-owned property. So in 2015, the city and the foundation had their original MOU. This MOU provided in-kind staffing capacity and use of city facilities. The city also provided in-kind organizational capacity to assist the foundation with submission of competitive grants. So the MOU, you have it in your packet, it was pretty general. This next MOU, the 2018 agreement with the foundation, allows us to carry out this $1.6 million grant through CAL FIRE. So what this agreement does, it expands on the city's role. It allows the city to recuperate staff costs at city costs associated with the work on the 1.6 million grant. It also allows staff to review the work of the foundation's independent contractors, so to ensure that it is consistent with our city goals and objectives. It also clarifies my role with the foundation. I don't vote, but I do provide support. This agreement would provide liability, workers' comp, and other insurance to the extent available through its agreement with CalJPIA. And it also gives us a little bit of flexibility. If there are any other services that are required, we can carry them out, or city staff in general can carry them out. And then also this agreement specifies that the foundation also cannot interfere with the day-to-day parks and recreation programs or operations with the day-to-day of the public library. So with that said, our recommendation is to adopt the resolution approving this agreement, the 2018 agreement between the city and the Friends of the El Centro Community Services Foundation.
And Madam Mayor, if I may, when it's appropriate, I wanted to add some comments to that.
Yeah, can you go back one slide, please? So one of the things, or one of the concerns that I've heard expressed is the planting of the trees and there not being sufficient irrigation to keep the trees healthy and alive. Does this allow us, when I look at, allow staff to review work of foundation independent contractors to ensure the work is consistent with city goals and objectives? Does that mean that we can ensure that the trees are planted in such a manner that they'll be watered and maintained in a healthy environment?
So we're not carrying this grant out yet.
Okay.
When we carry this grant out, we will be able to have proper protocols. So this is the grant through the foundation. The first one that we're carrying out was kind of an old grant that was awarded to the city.
Okay, but the intent is ultimately to
Yes.
kind of lead us in that direction?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, Madam Mayor, and just to speak to that, this is exactly why we wanted to revamp the MOU, because I would want city staff to be very involved, especially when it comes to the education of trees. The last thing we want to do is have all these trees die. These are going to be 15-gallon trees.
Right.
And so there's going to be tree stewards, and we're going to be coming out with some talking points and some highlights of the grant, and that's coming. But do want to thank, first of all, Ms. Piedra, Mrs. Nava, and Ms. Betsy as well, because we looked at our MOU, and we wanted just to really tighten up that relationship, establish some terms and conditions, and then avoid any type of litigation or risk type of situation. And this is what that MOU does. And again, it's really an opportunity to make sure that there is understanding between both organizations. So I'm actually very pleased and thankful for the work, and there's a lot of thought that went into this, so we just didn't want to just come up here and revamp this MOU. Betsy, again, provided a lot of, I'm hoping, in-kind support to the foundation, and so this is a very healthy MOU, and we are going to be rocking and rolling with planting these trees. But the most important part is the education of these tree stewards and making sure that these trees stick around for a long time. So thanks again to Ms. Nava and everyone
Excellent.
else.
Thank you, and thank you for
So,
your
Madam Mayor,
participation.
I don't know who the question would go to, but I didn't know that some of the trees are not doing well and they're
No,
down.
I want to make sure that doesn't.
Oh, that doesn't happen. I thought
Yeah.
it was happening.
Yeah, no. Yeah, we're good.
I just had a quick question.
Yeah.
Madam Mayor, just refresh my memory again, and for the council and maybe anybody in the audience, how many trees are part of this initiative moving forward?
We don't have, I believe, a set, I can't remember the set number of trees through this one. It's a whole bunch when we combine all three of
But
them. But this
combined, we're doing how
one-
many?
Thought it was like 1,400.
It's 1,400.
14. 1,000.
So we're at 2,400 trees, roughly?
1,400 are for public property, and the second grant is 1,000 trees per property.
And then we have a third grant too, that through the city that adds additional trees.
And the first grant was approved when?
If you recall in your consent agenda, you actually have the approval of the bid documents to start with the planting of the 1,400 trees throughout city of Hopeville, Calexico, I believe Imperial, and of course our city.
I was just trying to recollect when that,
About 2 years ago, I think, about a year and a half.
okay,
And it's item 9 on your agenda packet.
thank you.
And moving forward, one of the things we wanted to look at is the removal of dead trees, right?
Yes, so that is the next.
Next phase.
Yeah.
Please, please. Okay. Okay, so I'm looking back to council. If there are no additional questions, this would be resolution number 18-95.
I did want to just highlight also and thank Miss Stacy Cox for all her help. She's been the glue in
Amazing.
keeping us together. Yeah.
Well done, well done. And that passes 5-0.
Thank you,
We'll
guys.
now move on to item number 15. Ms. Nava, you're on a roll. Measure P Downtown Holiday Lights and Decorations. This actually came out of, we kind of talked about this a little bit, and I said, oh, let's just take it to council, $27,000 for holiday lights in downtown. Remember, we've done extensive upgrades with regard to downtown, and thank you, Abraham, and your department for getting those middle lines out of the, it looks so much
Looks
better.
much better.
Downtown, just well done. So, anyway, move forward.
So this item actually came about through our Community Enhancement Task Force meeting. Beautification and elimination of blight of the city is a very consistent topic. Recently, it was discussed that $15,000 were available through the Business Improvement District to purchase downtown holiday decor. The area that would be decorated would be between 4th Street and 8th Street along Main Street. So the areas that we consider decorating are the light poles. There are 28 light poles, and we would only be decorating 14 to try and keep costs as reasonable as possible. The cables that are from 4th to 8th, most of them were removed, however, 5 are remaining. The 4th Street gateway entrance and the 8th Street columns. So this is just an image of some of the areas that would be decorated, and you can see there'd be other items are the typical banner, and then the flag poles that we have out of the 4th Street gateway entrance. So this is what $15,000 purchased. A banner enhancer, those are 12, and that's the area where the little deer is. The spirals, that's a banner enhancer. The Skyline Shooting Star, those are the red stars. And then the mountain pine garland. We thought the mountain pine garland was included as part of the enhancer, and it turned out it wasn't, so there you see the added cost. So $15,000, we were able to purchase those items. So the Measure P items. So as mentioned, the areas that would be decorated were the remaining cables, the 8th Street columns, we'd put a spray, and then along the gateway entrance, there would be, let me just move on to the next line. Along the 8th Street columns, we'd have the 2 6-foot sprays, and then on 4th Street, we would have 3 wreaths, 1 8-foot classic wreath, and then 2 6-foot classic wreath. So scale is huge. These structures are actually very large. They don't look that large when you're in your car, but if you put a regular size wreath, it'll be microscopic. So these are much larger than your typical wreaths. The other item is the Happy Holidays sign. So that can be seen in this slide. And then the banners is the other item that we included, and then outlets. So there is no electricity, there's no outlets along each of the light poles, so we'd have to install those as well. Lastly, we included a contingency because you never know what could happen, and the total on that is about $27,000. So the other item that we're doing as part of this whole revamping our downtown is a Main Street holiday decor contest, and Liz is going to pass out some of the flyers that we will be giving to our downtown merchants, along with the entry form. And so our goal is just to create a really spirited downtown that people can drive by, something I used to do when I was growing up, check out our downtown, and something fun to do and, get people out there, which is what we want. So with that said, I don't know if you guys have any questions or comments before we go into the recommendation.
Can you explain the tie-in between the $27,000 from us as well as the $15,000 left over from the bid? Right, those are gonna be added together to buy everything.
So we already purchased the first 15,000 because these things have to be custom ordered. This isn't just stuff that you can just pull out. So all of this is custom ordered, so we're trying to get these things, out as soon as possible. So the 15,000, so we're just leveraging resources and, it's the 15,000s we already hadn't counted on.
Yeah.
So it's great. And we also haven't purchased any Christmas decor. No one can remember when was the last time, so I think we're
Exactly.
due for,
Yeah, I
new
think the
decor.
last that was
And we
done
did
was
look
good.
at a lot of different samples at the Community Enhancement Committee and felt that staff's recommendation was just brilliant in terms of what's being brought forth. We could have scaled it back and done the 15,000. It would not have had the impact. And thinking along the lines of how long we have used holiday lights in the past, we really think this is going to be a magnificent thing for our downtown.
Madam Mayor, can I be difficult for about 10 seconds?
Yes,
No.
ready, go.
Ready?
We can scale it back. I
No,
mean, it's
no,
not-
I'm just talking about our Christmas tree. I know, I love it. I love the Christmas tree lighting. That's I think one of our signature events. Oh, so we are?
We're getting a new tree.
Yeah, that was already purchased, and it's actually
How,
being
is it a
built-
lot taller?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes. No, it's,
No, yeah, I'm done, but okay.
no, we used to get it donated, right, Marcella? I
Yeah.
think if you, correct me if I'm wrong. But no, a new one was purchased. Actually, Chris was out, I think at the parking lot, the Conrad Harrison, putting it together.
Wow.
Because it's a beast.
It is?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you'll be impressed.
Yeah.
All right.
Mr. Cardenas, I'm glad that you called it a Christmas tree and not a holiday
Oh,
tree.
Yeah.
Sorry, I hope I didn't offend anybody.
We're not politically
So,
correct.
no.
In fact,
So
they
we're
probably-
good.
They probably wanted it Times Square, but we got it first.
Yeah, okay, all right.
Okay, so is everybody okay? We
Yes.
need a motion to approve the purchase of the holiday lights and decorations. Okay, and those will be here in time for Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome sauce. Okay, thank you very much.
Well, that's December 1st, right? They'll be here by December, so this,
Well,
All
the
right.
first part will be.
Oh, and Mr. Campos, we have your office, your employees ready to put them up, right? Okay. they've
And
been
we're
warned.
also salvaging whatever we can from the old stuff and just putting it in like the town square and areas.
Okay.
Most of it, they told me, is in really bad shape, but they told me we're gonna, we're still reusing some of our old
Right.
stuff.
Perfect. Okay, awesome. Thank you very much. We're moving on then to item number 16. I don't have anything to read for item 16.
That's the certified water. You have, it's for the directors. 16 is not for the certified workers.
So I don't have to read anything?
No, when you get to the
Okay.
when you get to the next one.
Starting on
then-
17.
And it's
Okay.
a little confusing because there's quite a few of them.
Yep, okay. So let's start with item number 16, which is a resolution establishing the terms and conditions of employment for our certified water and wastewater treatment plant operators. Are there any questions with regard to this agreement for our HR director? This would be resolution number 18-96. Resolution of City Council, City of El Centro establishing terms and conditions of employment, including compensation for July 2018 through December 2021, certified water and wastewater treatment plant operators. We have a motion by Silva, second by Jackson. That passes 5-0. Moving on to item number 17, I need to read something. Current state law requires that before we consider city council action on salary and benefits for any executive managers, the city must provide an oral summary of the action to be considered. Items 17 through 25 are resolutions that provide for the salaries and benefits for the unrepresented management department heads. Each resolution provides for a 3.5-year term from July 1, 2018 through December 31, 2021, with certain benefit increases provided to all employees, including cash out of annual leave, an increased city contribution to health insurance, and increased life insurance. The salary and benefit increases specific to the Director of Finance, which is item number 17, excuse me. Director of Finance, a salary increase of 4% effective July 3rd, 2018. No increase in the second year of the term, and an additional salary increase of 3.5% effective July 7, 2020. In addition, there is an increase in the car allowance of $100 per month. The salary and benefit increases of the other department heads will be summarized before the consideration of each item. Are there any questions with regard to item 17? Not, we can ballot. Okay. And that item passes 5-0. Ms. Salcido? We're good for another 3.5 years. Awesome. Okay, we're moving on then to item number 18, which is our Community Development Director, a salary increase of 4% effective July 3, 2018. No increase in the second year of the term, and an additional salary increase of 3.5% effective July 7, 2020. In addition, there is an increase in the car allowance of $100 per month. Any questions with regard to item 18? Ballot, please. That item passes 5-0. We're moving on then to item number 19, which is the Human Resources Director. A salary increase of 4% effective July 3rd, 2018. No increase in the second year of the term, and an additional salary increase of 3.5% effective July 7, 2020. In addition, there is an increase in the car allowance of $100 per month. Any questions with regard to item 19? That item passes 5-0. Moving on then to item number 20, which is the Assistant Community Development Director. A salary increase of 4% effective July 3rd, 2018. No increase in the second year of the term, and an additional salary increase of 3.5% effective July 7, 2020. In addition, there is an increase in the car allowance of $100 per month. Questions on item 20? That item passes 5-0. Everybody recognizes that all of these contracts have been to the city council multiple times, right? We've already read them about 15 different times, so, okay. Item number 21, which is with regard to our library director, a salary increase of 4% effective July 3rd, 2018. No increase in the second year of the term, and an additional salary increase of 3.5% effective July 7, 2020. In addition, there is an increase in the car allowance of $100 per month. That item passes 5-0. Okay, item number 22 is a little bit different. This pertains to our police chief, and insofar as we had just a recent hiring of the chief, there will be no salary increase the first year of the term. There will be a salary increase of 2% effective July 2nd, 2019, and an additional salary increase of 3.5% effective July 1, 2020. And that item passes 5-0. Similarly, with regard to item number 23, recently hired Community Services Director, no salary increase the first year of the term, a salary increase of 2% effective July 1, 2019, and an additional salary increase of 3.5% effective July 7, 2020, and an increase in the car allowance of $100 per month. And that item passes 5-0. Item number 24, which is the Director of Public Works, no salary increase for the first year of the term unless employee obtains the land surveyor certification. A salary increase of 2% effective July 2nd, 2019, and an additional salary increase of 3.5% effective July 7, 2020, and a $100, sorry. I know, new car. Wait, $100 per month increase in the car allowance. That's item 24. Any questions? Ballot, please. Wow, you're going to be driving that new BMW. All right, that item passes 5-0. Item number 25, which is our city clerk, a salary increase of 4% effective July 3rd, 2018, an additional salary increase of 3.5% effective, oops, this doesn't have the middle year. 4%, nothing for 2019.
Correct.
An additional salary increase of 3.5% effective July 7, 2020, and an increase in the car allowance of $100 per month. Okay. Betsy, do I need to read that verbatim into the,
I think you just did.
yeah, I added that, okay. So,
Are we going to do the,
okay,
the two
so that one
right now?
is added, or is adopted 5-0.
We got the two added.
Right, we have the two added items. Let's start first with item number, would it be 25A or just 26, Diane? 25A? This will be item 25A, and which contract will it be, Ms.
The
Brownlee?
Police Sergeants Association?
Police Sergeants Association, please let us know.
We have an agreement with them. It's the same term, 3.5 years, July 1st, 2018 through December 31st, 2021.
And upon the terms and conditions that the council has previously approved and adopted in
Yes.
closed session. Any questions with regard to that item?
Ms. Brownlee, thank you very much for all your help in our labor negotiations.
Again, this is
All
item.
the hard work.
Item 25A, our police sergeant MOU, and that's adopted 5-0. Item 25B, Ms.
Is
Brownlee?
The MOU for the El Centro Firefighters Association, same term, July 2018 through December 2021.
And upon the same terms and conditions that we had previously approved and adopted.
Yes.
Okay,
Ms. Brownlee, thank you again for all your hard work on helping us close that out, too.
You're welcome.
and we're hoping with the length of the term, December 31, 2021, that you'll have lots of free time to do other things
Oh,
that
absolutely.
your department wants to achieve. So, very good. That item passes 5-0. With that, we have one remaining MOU that has not yet come before the council. So, other than that, all right. Yes.
I gotta get kids home for school.
Thank you. Appreciate you being here. Okay, good night. Okay. Do you need us to, like, let you know how much more money your dad's gonna be making? Nice. Okay, take care. Next two items are informational items. Any public comments? No additional public comments. We do welcome your input. If there's members of the public that want to address us at this time, no one's popping forward. So, task force reports, mayor and council member reports.
In the interest of time, Madam Mayor, I have no comment.
Okay. Mr. Jackson?
Only that the open house at El Centro Regional was amazing, and
Yes.
We all should be very proud of that facility.
Yes. Mr. Silva?
Attended the IBEDC ribbon cutting ceremony at their new facility. That's a really nice facility. I'm glad for IBEDC. Also attended the league dinner.
Mr. President?
Wow.
That's right. Congratulations, Mr. Garcia, and your your
City
league
of El
president.
Centro. City of El Centro was very well represented at that league dinner. Thank you.
Attended the Sister Evelyn Murray.
Moray?
Celebration. Also attended the presentation by Senator Hueso to the firefighters that attended the wildfires. And as you know, that was a little personal for me, as my brother is the fire chief in Hopeville. And so that was very nice to be able to share that with him as well.
Very good. And I think I attended all of those events as well as, in addition to 3 walk-to-school events. What else did we have? Oh, the 760 Sports Academy, the official ribbon cutting for that was very cool. Our Day of the Dead workshops and the big
sure.
celebration. I'm sure you meant to mention that one.
I did meant to say that.
I was a judge at the Day of the Dead Heber Fall Festival, which was pretty fun. Mr. Garcia, Mr. Jackson, myself will be heading out to the National League of Cities first thing tomorrow morning. As your representative to the Imperial County Transportation Commission, want to let you know that there will be an increase in the IVT MedTrans fare. It's going to be rolled out in two installments with regard to that. I also had an opportunity to tour the Imperial Regional Detention Facility that's operated by MTC. I think, Mr.
Yeah.
Cardenas, you had encouraged me to do that and thought it was really, really cool. Sorry to have to fess up to this, but AARP does send me stuff. And here's their stuff on creating parks and public spaces for people of all ages. So I'm going to pass that on to you, Ms. Navas, since you have another 15 years before you're going to get anything like that in the mail. And there you go. Mr. Cardenas, Electric Ratepayers Alliance, that's for you. And what else do I have to pass out?
Renova.
I just want to say thank you to my council members that made me the delegate for,
Oh, right.
Oh, yes.
Teach you to miss a
I
meeting.
appreciate that.
And then, let's see, Ms. Marcella, Imperial IRWMP, they have a list of city representatives that is really, really outdated. I'm going to get back to you to update. And with that, on a personal note, I just want to thank everybody.
Gonna watch the video.
Oh, we're going to watch our video. Here we go. Liz, well done.
Sound.
Sound,
Check.
Back
sound
it up.
check.
Start it over.
There we go. Doesn't that just make
Very
you feel great to live
nice.
here,
Yeah.
work here? Well done. Okay, and with that, we are adjourned.
All right.
Thank you all.
Thank you, thank you.